Yo, we are back with another episode of In Space. I'm your host, Chris Connor. I have two wonderful gentlemen here that's going to help lead this ship here. Y'all know Lito. Lito, what's up?
Peace, man. Peace. It's all good. Happy to be here with y'all.
But we got a special guest, at least in my mind, that we have. Me and Mark have had a few conversations over, I would say, the past year, between foods that are completely overrated, and the importance and the love of role players that don't get enough shine. If you don't know who I'm talking about, we have Mark Schindler here, who from WNBA, draft scouting, NBA, from working with Dime. I know that there's some athletic work there. Got a couple podcasts. Mark's all over the place, but we got to show him some love. Mark, what's good with you, man?
I'm good. I appreciate you having me on, Chris. It's good to finally talk face to face. It feels like we've talked a million times before now, but yeah, especially too with how the Pelicans are looking right now. I'm stoked to be on here, man. I honestly headed into this year. I think I save all my shit takes for food, and not everything that I have positive is about basketball. So I just I've been excited about a million things going on in basketball this year, but the Pelicans being this team this year is this is the shit, man. I'm very excited about it.
But before we get into the show, though, can I just know about some overrated foods? I'm late to the party. I just want to.
Yeah. Well, I think the first time I ever got packed up was when this is probably 3 years ago. I just tweeted about. It was in a very flagrant way. I said pickles were terrible, but
that's not
more
wrong.
along the lines of
what's the problem here?
No, that's right, Mark. That's
right.
But
I'm trying. I'll have to look it up because this is from a long time ago. But I think I literally said if you eat pickles, you should, have to do what Dante did and go through the 7 floors of hell, and that's I do it in a way that certainly can drum up engagement. But I get excited, I think about. I see a pickle on TV and I'm this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Because then I picture smelling the brine. And so pickle's bad. I think pasta's very overrated. People just like sauce. That's what it's about. They like sauce. It's not about the actual noodle. I'll get packed up for that. But I've said it so many times, it is what it is by now.
I am shocked because I never thought there would be a day where I would go into someone's Twitter profile and search the word pickles. And I probably will never do it again. But there are a lot of tweets here about pickles. You really hate
a lot of them.
May 15th, 2020. You tweeted, pickles suck. Literally one of the most overrated, least worth eating, deplorable foods in existence.
Yeah, that's the one.
Wow.
Don't see the problem. That is a great tweet.
Ha!
I'm gonna find it. I'm a favorite.
Lito, I got you right here. Again from Mark. My full list of top 5 least favorable foods.
Yeah,
pickles.
Okay.
Twizzlers. Barbecue foods. Anything with grill marks. I want him arrested for that one. He definitely has to be thrown in jail. At least a preliminary hearing.
I've been banned from Nolan now. Yeah.
Pasta and mayo.
You only got one thing wrong on the list, Mark. If we get 1,000, I could possibly live without pasta. Pickles are trash. I don't know who wants to eat a Twizzler? What is the meaning? You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
I rock with that though, Mark, only because the one time I talked about something that I really hated, dessert wise, it was my to this day, I don't even type cheesecake without putting asterisk in it because I don't want people to be able to search it. I dislike cheesecake. I think it's the worst dessert that was ever created.
It's overhyped, man.
It's
too heavy.
It's overrated. It's heavy. It doesn't know what it wants to be. It's not. It's very bipolar. It's the most bipolar dessert that you could ever have. It doesn't know if it's sweet. It doesn't know if it's tangy. It's cheese. There's cake. I need consistency in mine. Give me straight down to whatever the hell this dessert is. Don't confuse me. My taste buds aren't that old.
Mark, listen,
Ran over.
I would let him go on with this, but then at the same token, he would say that banana pudding is great. So
I would not say that.
God.
I would not say that. I would say it's better than cheesecake. Would I say it's great? No. Now, listen.
I don't know about banana pudding better than cheesecake.
No, but that's okay. My problem, Mark, is that all of these people, these people that act as if they have holy taste buds that are like the great, like just like their eating palate is just higher than yours, will say somebody had the nerve to quote tweet me and say, well, I'm sorry, your taste buds aren't as distinguished. Shut the fuck up. What, cheesecake?
Yeah.
Hey, what? I mean, are you holier? Your taste buds are better than mine because you like cheesecake and I don't, and I would just rather just a fucking sundae.
Yeah, no, it has nothing to do with me being right or wrong. It's just my opinion, bro. Like, it's subjective, but I'm right. Like, you know, that's like you can have whatever thoughts you want, but it's not going to change my mind. Like, I'm here for what I think. That's my thing. Like, I mean, you know me on basketball, I'm open to any conversation about basketball.
Yeah.
If you come up in my mentions trying to talk up like shit, like, see, all right, here's my thing with barbecue. Like, I think there's fantastic barbecue food. I'm biased because I grew up in the suburbs in the Midwest. Most of my friends' dads couldn't cook for shit. You get, my family, it's literally me and my dad, my family, the only people who eat things that aren't well or better. And like, if you eat anything well, just don't eat it. Like, it's terrible. Just don't do it. Like,
right.
It has to be medium or lower. Yes. So that's where that flagrancy comes from. I've had some amazing barbecue food. I just don't like getting my hands dirty, to be completely honest. It's like that's a whole thing to dive into. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, it's not about like having more superior like taste buds. I know what I like,
and that's okay.
Exactly.
That's okay. I have no problem. Dog, somebody blocked me for me saying somebody was like enough and blocked me because I don't like fucking cheesecake. that was the tweet that took you over the edge. All right, but neither here nor there. This is a conversation about basketball one way or another. And so I don't rock with a lot of national writers and followers because, you know, I really appreciate those that act as well. They know that there's only so much time in the day. And it's okay to say like, yo, I favor these teams or I only watch these teams. When you're trying to share opinions on a full league, but you're coming across as if you are an expert or completely knowledgeable, that's where it's like, all right, because now it's just not 100. Like, I am not going to get into a debate about Nick Richards in Charlotte. I just won't, because I haven't watched enough of him to have a full balanced conversation. What I've seen is nice, but I haven't watched enough film on him to tell you a bunch of negative or positive things about him. You don't want to hear me have a conversation about I'm trying to think of a random player here, but yeah, I mean that's my point. The reason that I rock with you though, Mark, is because you dive into a lot of, like, you go beyond just like the stars in your commentary, tweets that you put out. You just really like basketball. So my first question is, if you had to guess, how much basketball just a week do you think you watch? Because you have to.
Oh, that's a good question. A week? I mean, I normally, so just like my typical day right now, part of what makes this viable for me. So like for people who wonder, like I'm not super active on my Patreon anymore, mainly because I write so many different places, but that's what helps me be full-time in this. Like my typical schedule is I'll watch like 3 games back during a day so that I haven't watched that. Like, so like yesterday, I mean, my schedule's been kind of wacky today because I was had a doctor's appointment, but normally I'll watch like 2 or 3 games from the night before that I didn't get to watch in full. And then night of, I'll watch like 3 or 4 games too, trying to keep up with everything. Normally, like I don't always see everything in full. Like I think to me, I used to like very much be a person who's like, I have to see everything. You know, like if I can't watch a full game, I'm not going to watch it. But I think it's more so like just you can still take things away, pieces and parts, even if you're only watching part of a game. But then the bigger thing I do too is like I try and follow people from every team who I respect and like know that they're watching, like that, know that I at least would like agree with some of the ways that they're going to view things. which sounds close-minded, but you get what I mean. Like, like they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I do that, and I keep up with team pods. So, like, I listen to you guys over at the bird calls. I'll listen to pods from every market, just to keep up and get extra context and background on stuff going on. But yeah, I think per week, it's a full-time job, like 40, 50 hours of basketball, probably a little bit more. Depends on the week though. Like, especially early in the season, like, I go really hard trying to get a good grasp on everything. I think I've watched every team play at least 3 times already. So probably right about there.
Mark, you're a maniac. That's crazy.
Yeah, it'll tone down eventually. So, the biggest thing is because I do draft stuff too. So once the college season starts, like, that way I get like a head start, and then I just try and like keep up with like one game or more a week from each team as it goes on. But it is a lot.
No, I'm saying that because I'm jealous, man. Like, I wish I could do that, man. My wife not. she ain't having that. She ain't having that. I would definitely like immerse myself in basketball if I could, lock myself in a room and watch everybody. But how do you find? Let me ask you a question. How do you find the people on Twitter or the podcast? Like, how do you find those resources?
I'm sometimes too online, I think would be a good way to put it. I talk to people a ton. Like, I think like Chris was saying, like, I don't really try and debate people. I just think like asking questions is what I like to do. Like, I just like to learn, like I don't know. I think some people would call me like an expert. I don't like saying that. Like, I don't know. I watch a lot of basketball. I want to learn more. I want to understand things better. And so like, if I know people of that I like are like sharing something or tweeting something, then I want to read it. I want to understand. I want to ask questions. I want to seeing that stuff's going to make me dive into things further too. So like, I think for me, it's just all about like really trying to keep expanding how I see the game and trying to understand other ways that people are approaching it and other perspectives. Because especially with basketball, like, I just don't think that there's really one way to view anything. Which sounds like very fence sitting, but I also just think it's true. Like, there isn't one way to build a basketball team. I mean, just looking at like all of the contenders right now, like, it's kind of awesome. Like, I've really enjoyed this year because you can look at all of the top teams and they're built so differently. Like, part of the reason I love the Pelicans, I've never seen a team built like them before. Part of that's because of how like funky a talent Zion is, but also just the way that they're like redefining, like, okay, we're going to go crazy in attacking the glass in ways that teams have kind of gone away from over the last half decade, like stuff like that. And then you can even go like, okay, well, Milwaukee plays supersized and they've tweak their defense, and Cleveland plays with a massive front court and they're changing things up too. And then Boston just plays switchable across the board. Like, there's so many ways to look at it. And I think it's less about trying to solve basketball and more about just finding new ways to appreciate it.
So Mark, one of the ways that I became, a fan of your work and just, keeping up with the stuff that you're putting out, and this is before, like, and we'll get into like, the work that you've been doing with WNBA, but anytime in, I don't know, a random day in February, I see someone who's going to be paying $8 a month soon to keep themselves verified, tweeting about Naji Marshall that has
I am not paying you that much any fucking money. I don't care about the check. I'm not paying that man money to stay verified. You can take my damn check for all I care. But yes, go on.
No, man, but I mean, last year there was so many different things to talk about with the Pelicans, right? Especially after the CJ McCollum trade. If you were, unless you were, a local observer or writer. So all the things that to talk about, the Zion, all the Zion noise, Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas, CJ McCollum, Josh Hart leaving, Larry Nance, all of these different elements that, are easy to talk about and easy to build engagement of. You were talking about Naji Marshall. And that's interesting. And it's a big reason why, I thought it made sense to talk about it for the show, because, of course, right on time, Naji's off to the best start of his career. And it's so impressive. It looks sustainable from some perspectives. And yeah, man, I mean, I'm just curious, like, with how you view the game, and having, you know, basically the task of watching so many different teams, how does a guy like Naji Marshall catch your eye to where, like, no, I want to watch this guy play basketball. I'm intrigued, and I'm gonna talk about it.
Yeah, so it's actually really kind of more ironic, I guess, than funny. It's funny now, but so I guess this was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I can't remember off the top of my head. Whenever after his senior season was done at Xavier, just for the hell of it, like I was gonna, like I had no real interest in getting into the draft, but I was like, I mean, I had some dead period before the NBA season was starting because it was like the weird COVID year. So I was trying to, like, you know, figure out how to approach the draft and stuff like that. And I'd actually like just broken up with my girlfriend at the time.
Great.
Like a day before I was going to do a podcast, like talking about the draft. And then I just like, I looked, I found like, cause I think the Pacers had like the 54th pick in that draft or something.
Yeah.
So of course I'm like, all right, well, I got to be realistic and talk about guys who actually are like going to be around there. And I went and I found Naji Marshall just like based on all of the actual like what the, you know, draft ranges and stuff were for guys. And I ended up just watching him for like 4 or 5 hours that day, just going like watching all the games. And that Xavier team, first of all, funky as shit when he was there. He had like 28% usage when he was there, which that's like comparing him to what Zion does right now, which is
right.
I mean, that's wild stuff to picture considering, like, I like Naji, but yeah, like it was an experience. So I think to me, that's what really like got me down the road of like being interested in the draft and player development, especially just young players in general. I think that's how I normally like approach things. Like I'm pretty like draft centric and player development centric, and just like watching how guys grow and handle new roles. And I think what I liked the most about Naji was that I had no idea what to think about him, because like it's so clear watching him at Xavier, like he's not going to be this guy at the next level. Like you don't want him to have the ball that much, but he did very good things. Like his driving ability was for real. The defense stood out right away, especially, you know, like being 6'7", being able to navigate screens the way he did, even while being like, while having as much volume on the ball as he did. Like he was still a very good defender. So to me, like I just watched him, and I think he was like the first guy that I really honed in on being like, I want to see what this can look like at the next level, because I think that's a guy who brings a lot of valuable things, even if it's not necessarily somebody that, you know, you think is going to be a first round draft pick or that can, or that you might not view as an impact player, because I don't know. I think I'd always like been more binary on viewing stars in like a certain light. And I think to me, there's a lot more interest in looking at guys who aren't stars and how they are able to assert themselves and find their way. And I mean, especially with Naji, like, because when he came into New Orleans, like I loved the fit, because it just made a lot of sense to me, especially with Zion. Like what's so special about Zion to me is I think he warps the defense in ways that nobody else does, just because like there's never been anybody like him in the way that, like, I mean, yeah, you can point out guys like, yeah, Larry Johnson and Anthony Mason, but Anthony Mason didn't jump 45 inches off the ground.
Yeah.
And like Larry Johnson didn't have the same level of handle or passing vision. And it's like, there just isn't anybody else like him. And so when you have, it's interesting. I know I'm going like 8 million directions, but like it's coming back to a point. But like last year was a really interesting case in looking at this, because I felt Naji really was so good that first year because he could play off Zion, and he was so good at adapting to playing alongside him, just cutting. Even if he wasn't going to shoot the ball well, he was really good at just like aggressively driving immediately. Like he doesn't check himself. Like he did it a lot more this last year, but that first year, like he really was. He's either going to shoot the corner three or he's going to drive to the basket. He's really good at making secondary plays and just continuing moving the ball.
Yeah.
And especially like when you have a player like Zion, that's the stuff that matters, because if he's going to dent the defense the way that he does, you need somebody who's going to help exacerbate that and just keep the offense flowing. And he's so good at that. And I mean, I think you saw that a lot with him, and I'm trying to think who would be a good example for last year. But I thought, like, to me, like Naji suffered the most last year without question with Zion being out, because those gaps, like as good as BI and CJR and Jonas, like it's not the same in terms of like the way that you're going to draw a defense. So like the gaps that Naji had to attack last year were, like a third smaller than they were when Zion was in. And like I think that's stuff that you've seen him. Part of it's been like confidence too. Like his confidence was shot like 10 games into last year, which really sucked to see. But so yeah, I think like to me that's what's interesting because long story short, basically, like it's just not binary. Like to me, what a guy can bring is a range based on who else is around him, especially as a role player. Because like if again, like Naji playing alongside Zion is like a borderline starting player. Without Zion, like not so much. So it's like it's just really interesting to see the way that stuff plays out and trying to parse through and understand how important context and environment is for what somebody can be in the league.
Lito, piggybacking off of what Mark said, like I think there's a portion of us that really, after you got a chance to see a portion of what he can do in his rookie year, which was partially spent with Zion before Zion had to miss the rest of the year a couple seasons ago. Why, I feel like a portion of us really wanted him to do well. Like, I mean, sure, like you want anybody who's wearing, from our perspective, a Pelicans jersey to do well if they can. But I felt like the connection was different with with Naji. And now him really, him getting off to this great start and it being very important in the games that they won, it feels like even better. Like he's like they don't win, arguably outside of the Brooklyn game, they don't win the other 3 games without Naji's contributions, whether it be from a few plays defensively or how he was able to contribute offensively. What's the connection there? Like why do we feel the way that we feel about Naji? Because it definitely feels different.
I mean, excuse me, Naji is a guy who, you talk about heart, that's one of the things you talk about when you speak about Naji's game. But Naji has this thing that you can't quite see it. Like it doesn't seem like Naji's affecting the game when you look at the box score. But Naji is like, if for instance, if BI is the backbone and Zion is the, whatever you want to put it, Naji is the connective tissue. Naji is the guy on the team, right? You need that guy in the locker room. He's hype. He's happy for everybody. He's always up. It doesn't matter. Like he might not get 30 minutes a game or whatever, but when it's his turn, he's going to make you feel it. And then, as to what Mark said, I mean, that him missing Zion, like that was clear as day, because if you look at, what he's doing this year, I mean, man, hell, Naji's developing into a consistent 3-point shooter. And that's something that, as much as we loved him, we had questions about, could he be a guy who we could count on to make that 3? And not only that, like he's driving, he's making he's getting hockey assists. He's just, what I'm saying? He's just a good connector. He's a good locker room guy, man. He's a guy I feel like, I know we haven't won anything as an organization, but Naji's a guy to me. He's a guy who will make winning plays.
So one of the things that Zion said that was very interesting after the last win against the Clippers, he said that Naji's kind of taking over the Josh Hart role.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because a lot of things that you ended up saying, a lot of things that Mark said, those intangibles, like certain guys can fill that void and others can't. Like, sure, Naji he's not going to be the rebounder that, the Josh Hart, is or was in New Orleans. Like, sometimes the creation can struggle. He's not a great free throw shooter right now, but he fields whatever the team's going to ask of him. He's going to find a way to make the best of it. He has a lot of good leadership skills. He's very vocal. And I want to read so Tim Daniel, who the journalist covering Xavier University, before Naji's first game, he texted me about Naji, and here's here's what he said, and it's very like it sticks with me because a lot of this became true before we even knew exactly what he was. He said Naji's a really good a really good ball defender or on-ball defender who isn't afraid to take on the moment and can facilitate. Has some motor issues and can be stagnant when he's not involved in the play, but when he's locked in, he's awesome. There were 5 games this year he brought them back from the dead: Missouri, UConn, Florida, Butler, Marquette, and he was great in the crosstown shootout against Cincinnati. He really needs to improve his shooting and the motor, but if he does, he can be a good role player. I mean, it's spot on, right?
Coming into year 4, I mean, it looks like, those things are coming into fruition.
Yeah, man. So I mean, I definitely, we talk a lot about after the Clippers game. A lot of the attention was on Point Zion, and I don't even know if it's necessarily even Point Zion. It's just giving him more, perimeter options or more opportunities to create from further out. But guys like Naji Marshall and Trey Murphy. Those are the ones that those are the ones that I think deserve their flowers just as much along this journey, especially over an 82-game season. Mark, we talk a lot about the stars. What other role players, what other individuals that aren't, necessarily household names as of yet, do you like when you watch the Pelicans play?
Man. Well, I think it's tough because Trey is already Trey feels like he's hitting that household name. Especially, it was cool. Like, it was really dope seeing him and CJ on NBA Countdown or not NBA Countdown. I think it was a jump. Whatever. NBA Today. Jeez, can't speak. I think Jose is really interesting for me because I've liked a lot of what I've seen from him this year, especially with in the games when Zion was out. You saw more of him with the ball in his hands, and he's done some stuff shooting that looks a little bit better this year. Not that he was a terrible shooter last year. It wasn't awesome, but I think he had some stretches where it looked better. He hit a 3 off a ghost screen earlier this year, which is stuff that we just didn't really see a lot last year. And those are the kind of things that excite me because I'm like, he's more of a combo guard than a true point, even though he's only 6 foot is no way. I think Jose's probably closer to 5'9" or 5'10" if we're being real. But he does really good things as a change of pace guard that, frankly, I think, and this is not meant as a slight, he just had a tough hand, but I think it's the kind of things that you were hoping to see from Kyra Lewis. And Jose brings that while being an even better defender. And if he's able to continue developing as a shooter like that, I'm really excited about what he can be. Because I think a lot of what people saw with him last year, they just highlight the steals, and I get it because it's very. I mean, there's just nobody else in the league who does that. It feels gimmicky, but it's not gimmicky because that's just Jose Alvarado. But he's a good playmaker. He's a good pick and roll ball handler. He's your perfect guard to have coming off the bench and who can spot start too. So that's somebody that I obviously, have really loved and want to see how he continues to keep growing because clearly the franchise values him and how he impacts the team. Chris Paul's never going to forget him either after last season. Again, it's tough because he's a household name, but what Dyson did in the game against Dallas was awesome. That was his first real run of the season too. It felt like I know he'd gotten some minutes in a game not too long before then. But he looked really good. I personally really like Darion Searon a lot. I don't know what his role is going to end up being. I think he's kind of in that same mode as Naji, but he's not close to level defender, even though he's one of the most nutty drivers I've seen in college basketball.
His first step is crazy.
It is. Yeah. I'm telling you, on watching him, if he doesn't do anything else, that first step is one of the.
He gets to the rim. He gets to the damn rim.
It's one of the quickest first steps I've seen in a very long time. It's elite. Now what he does with it afterwards and how he's able to transition that at this level is something else. But he can get by anybody.
Yeah. He's somebody that I need to watch at Birmingham this year because I want to see how he continues to grow. Because the biggest thing is just finding any kind of counters inside the arc because he's not a good rim finisher right now. I think to me, that stuff is a lot, at least from from my experience, like that stuff's a lot more teachable and can be learned. Just the getting there is huge. So, and especially just him being a bigger guy, like that's stuff that you want to see develop out. But the biggest thing, like I don't remember if you and I talked about this, but when the draft happened and EJ got drafted, that was one of my favorite picks in the draft because I looked at EJ like, I think if EJ didn't get hurt, he'd be in the top 9 rotation right now. Like he's just a really solid basketball player. He does a lot of the things that I think you would expect and hope out of Larry, but being probably a little bit more quick twitch on the perimeter. He brings a lot as a rim protector coming from over on the weak side. I don't think he's quite as the same level of passer as Larry, but I think you can see some of that stuff growing out eventually. But like that's the kind of guy that I think like he was the guy that I viewed as being able to really round out some of the front court stuff. Because you could see him playing alongside Jonas. You could see him playing with Larry. You could see him playing small ball 5 moments. Like he just has a lot of versatility. And I believe in the shot too. And I'm really hopeful because it seems like the organization is still like pretty invested in him and who he can be eventually. And I'm frankly just considering how much we've seen teams like willing to cut ties with guys once they get injured, which I get, it's a business, but also like it just sucks to see happen. So everything I think Rel tweeted this the other day, but just like she's happy every time she sees EJ on the back bench. I'm like, yeah, man, like I love it. Like I'm just happy to know that he's there. He was one of my favorite players to watch. I'm biased because I'm from Ohio, but like he's somebody that I definitely like a lot moving forward for this team.
I you know, I know everybody. I love, this is not a slight at Dyson, what I'm about to say. I know everybody was high on Dyson because he was the higher pick, but man, when I saw EJ do what he did to Paulo in the in that game versus Duke, man, he's
the best anybody defended him last year.
Dude, I was sold at that point. Like I didn't know exactly where he would get drafted. But you know, like just his hands, just seeing how strong he is, he's got a lot of Draymond in him to me, defensively, you know, just how he moves his feet. And I mean, he was pretty much the go-to player on that team, offensively as well. Like you say, you believe in the shot. You know, I think his offense is going to shock some people too, when he does get the chance to play. So man, if you ever get a chance to listen to this, man, we waiting on you.
Yo, man, it's crazy how quickly an organization can go from so much tough luck and just overall misses in evaluation to now, right? To where everything is hitting. You know,
are you saying Austin Rivers wasn't a good pick? Is that what you? I feel like that's what you're saying. That's crazy.
Oh man,
man, don't bring me back there, bro. I was so excited for Austin Rivers. I don't want.
Oh boy.
I mean, how was that? How was that supposed to not work, bro? Why would you do this?
I'm not the one who drafted him.
He wasn't. Was he?
I mean,
he wasn't.
God, I'll defend you for a sec. Anybody who's ever watched the Austin Rivers high school mixtape is like, that's. I mean, you'd think he's gonna be a Hall of Famer, man. Like that stuff was unreal.
Oh, he wore 0. I mean, what do you want me like? You know, this was. I think, you know, Gilbert Arenas was still in the league. Like, what do you want? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? He had a game winner that was cold. That, you know, he already mentioned. I think it was the hair, because in high school he had the hair, and that went with the mixtape. He cut his hair off, and it just didn't work. But no, man, I really love a lot of the names that were put together there. You know, and even Kyra, the comment about Sebron is very important, because it's a lot of what we talked about through the minutes that we've watched Kyra play. And just, you know, the quickness of getting to the rim, it doesn't matter if you can't find a way to finish or create contact, being able to put together a floater or finish with either hand or finish through. I mean, like that's a very big important factor for especially a lot of guards at this level. Lito. So Mark was talking a lot about Jose, and what he mentioned was very important about the steals, right? Because year 2 for him, like he was another guy that became, like, you know, kind of like a national, you know, darling of sorts. Like people, you know, he was, every time I looked, Jose was on TV.
Yeah. You
know, like he was on TV. He was on Inside the NBA. He was on local news in Brooklyn. He was on TV with Shams. Like everywhere you look, Jose was popping up. But this year is very important. A lot of things that Mark mentioned, because, people got a hold of him in some respects through gimmicks, right?
Yeah.
And this year allows him to prove that he's not a gimmick, and prove a lot of the things in deeper detail that we know about him. Like, no, he actually he has some very important point guard skills. He's improved as a shooter. Some of the things he can do with the basketball is needed against certain matchups, and we know what he does defensively. He's more than just an irritant, right? There's actually some important basketball skill that complements and fits this team.
I mean, listen, I'm on record. Every time I talk about Jose, I have to apologize to Five, because I thought Jose was a gimmick. Like I was not like sold on this. I wasn't sold on Jose as a complete basketball player. But as the season went on, and you start to see everything that he's offering, I mean, at some points last year, he was the best point guard on our team. He was the best guard as far as getting like, we had, not gonna say any names, but there were guards on the team prior to the trade deadline who couldn't make an entry pass to the big man. So, when you got a guy who understands, I think the thing with Jose is he understands his strengths and he understands his weaknesses. He knows who he is as a basketball player. But the thing I think that is underrated for him is he's an incredible finisher at the rim. He has really good finishing ability. I mean, you saw that against Dallas, where he lulled JaVale asleep a couple times, and he went by him, and then he hit him with an up and under the second time. But like, Jose has good body control when he's in the air. He's a good passer. He's becoming a very competent shooter. A person you can trust to make those shots, like Mark said about the ghost screen. And you kind of saw that coming together this summer while he was playing with the Puerto Rican national team, where he was making game winners. He was hitting shots over, other NBA players, or, the best player from different countries. And I think Jose just has this. Jose has no doubt in his ability, and when he plays, you see that. I mean, how many times do you see somebody like for one, he got Chris Paul again with the behind the coming from behind him, stealing the ball in the last game, and you saw what he did him in the playoffs, and like Mark said, he's not Chris is not sending him any Christmas gifts or anything like that, but at the same time, Jose wouldn't accept it anyway. You know what I'm saying? So like. You gotta love a guy like that who's just gonna give you his all. And Jose is just, I feel like he's also getting better as a basketball player. I tweeted this 2 days ago. I said we have to stop treating Jose like a novelty and actually give him minutes.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I mean that's I'm seeing a lot more people really talk about the depth that this Pelicans roster has. Some people are saying it's arguably the deepest team in basketball. And I'm not there yet, especially through 6 games. But man, like, it can't be easy for Willie Green night to night. You have I mean, look at Willie Holden Gomez, for example. You have the summer in which he has, where he's dominating against a elite NBA big men, winning MVP over there. Now he's not getting minutes. Right, that's where this roster is at. That's how good Larry Nance is playing, in spurts, and some of the other guys that are out there contributing. I mean, Willie Green definitely has his hands full night to night, and this is with the team being still banged up. When Herb comes back shortly, Dyson's back, and Brandon's probably back this weekend. I mean, that's a lot. This team goes beyond just 10 players, and
it's not Garrett Temple.
Huh?
Please stop. No.
You ain't gonna tell us. Shout out to the OG. Oh, we love GT.
Nice guy.
Tell us.
This is 6 years ago. Different story. This is not 6 years ago. No more. Please.
Mark, they fuss at me. They fuss at me when I say those things, man. They get mad at me.
So, Mark, before we get out of here, man, I do want to show love to your coverage of the WNBA this past season. I feel like even if it was a small term, I feel like WNBA is really, like, it's finally getting closer and closer to the respect that it deserves to get just as a basketball unit. I think that a lot of the stereotypes that have been thrown around about women's basketball are slowly starting to die. I don't think they'll ever be gone. But I think that you could just tell something was different this year. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But I'm really excited about what the WNBA is doing and where they can go from here. So a few questions for you. I want to know, how did you get started in that level to where you are like one of the main writers writing for the association? How did that happen? Do you believe that a turn is happening, and what could they improve on?
Man, those are great questions. I think so I'll start with I'd been kind of a casual watcher of the W for a couple years. It started with in I want to say it was 2017 or 2018. The Mystics were in the finals, and Elena Deladano, if you ever watched her play,
yeah,
she's unreal. I don't have I think like the best like comp that you can make. Like she's very much like the kind of like the KD.
That's perfect.
W.
Damn,
like,
yeah.
Her touch, her fluidity, just the way that she gets into her moves, like she's unreal. And especially too, like she just came back from a like pretty massive back injury this year and was really good still. But so that started for me, like getting interested in it. And I'd always just kind of like I would turn games on if they were there. But never really knew how to get invested. And luckily, a friend of mine who I knew took over as the head of digital content for the W, and he was looking for writers to get started on the site. And he'd always followed me with the NBA, and he was like, "Hey, man, like I'd love to give you an opportunity." And I'm just kind of taking it and running with it. Like I didn't really go in expecting, like I thought I was going to do like kind of the same stuff I do with the NBA, like more analysis and like breakdowns and stuff. And I still did that, but it was more of, I got a lot of opportunities to really just sink my teeth in and get to know players, get to know coaches, get to know executives. And I think to me, like I just I mean, it's the same way that I viewed it then, but like to me, it's just basketball. Like I think the biggest thing, the biggest disservice we can do is calling it women's basketball, which I think might make some people scoff, but like to me, that's just how it is. It's just like exact same way as like looking at college. Like it's a different version of the game, but it's the same game. I think when you find ways to just appreciate it for what it is instead of what it isn't, that's really important. Like I do like you mentioned, like I hate when people bring up the shit about dunks. Like dunks are cool. Yeah, whatever. But like, again, it's just a different game. Like it's so much more post-centric, like learning how to, like, it was funny because I feel like I had to change up how I evaluate things because defenses are different. Like the coverage versatility in the W is like mind-blowing compared to like, I think it changed in the NBA. This last year, we saw a lot more of teams willing to be funky on defense. You see a shit ton of it in the W, which is very fun. I think in general, like the actual like connective passing and just basketball IQ at times is even better.
Yes.
Part of that's it being a smaller league too. Just considering like you only have 144 players instead of like however many are in the NBA. But yeah, I think to me, like there's real viability in it and in it growing. And I just think people need to I don't even like saying give it a chance. I just think that you need to watch it. Like it's just basketball, like I think a lot of it has to do with league partnerships and media partnerships, like actually making games more accessible. That's the biggest thing to me. Like WNBA League Pass isn't great, but I think that they're working on it being better. It's not any worse than NBA League Pass. I'll tell you that. NBA League Pass is giving me just headaches to start this season, I swear to God. But I think like there's a new media deal coming up either 2024 or 2025, and that'll be huge in the direction of where the league is going because like the valuation is higher. And I just think getting games way more exposure is really important. Making it more accessible. And yeah, like I think what I want to keep doing, like I just started up a podcast that will be like it's live now with the trailer, but there will be like I already have stuff going on where there are players coming on, coaches, execs around the league, and just like doing stuff like that. Like there's more stories to dive into and things to understand and talk about. And yeah, man, just basketball. So I love it. I'm really excited for the season to start up eventually. And the off season is going to be nuts too. I've written a bunch of stuff on that, and I'm really excited because this draft and the next draft, especially the 2024 draft, like there's some crazy talent that it's going to be coming out of college. Like Aaliyah Boston coming out of SC is like just an incredibly dominant post player who's going to be, I would say, a Hall of Famer. That's a lot to put on somebody right away, but she would have gone first in this last draft probably, and I'd say Ryan Howard's already on that track, just based on what she did. And then you have Haley Jones, who is like kind of like a bigger version of Lamar Odom.
Damn.
Like, yeah, like she's really fun passer, really good defender, handles well. Like there's just, I'm excited, man. I love the draft and just like getting to see how players develop. So I can't wait.
Lito, anything to add?
Man, I was just gonna say I'm so happy you said the thing about when you're speaking about the WNBA, not saying it's just women's basketball, but basketball. Because man, to me, if you like basketball, it doesn't matter like what the gender is, or you know what I'm saying. Like I could watch third graders and I could be entertained. I could find something to appreciate about the game. And the other thing you said was, people talk about the dunks. Yo, like 2 points is 2 points. It doesn't matter if you're dunking it or if you're laying it up, right? And the thing to me about the WNBA that they don't give credit for, like, man, their skill is, like you said, if not on par, better than with the NBA, because they have to make use of, like, if they can't dunk, for instance, they have to be better at, maybe finishing around the rim, using the offhand, using just different skills, right?
Yeah, it's funny because I've thought about writing about this because I think that is the biggest difference between the W and the NBA. Like, just verticality is different. Like, it's kind of the same way, saying it's the same as high school is the wrong way to put it, but like, it's just given by nature of having like a generally shorter league, the actual like spacing is just a little bit different because of not having like the same level of verticality. Like, I think there are some players who are starting to change that a little bit. But yeah, exactly. Like, I think it changes the viability of post play and driving lanes and what a player does as a finisher. I think that's a really great point. I love you bringing that up.
Yeah, man, no, it's all good. I mean, like you said, there's players, I can't think of it, it's gonna kill me now, but there's a young lady on Stanford who, from the last time I saw her, was doing drop step two hands in practice. So like I can't not think of her name.
That's probably Cameron Brink.
Okay.
She's class of 2024. She's really fun. I wish she was in this draft class. But no, she's really good.
Man, I'm just looking forward to the WNBA season. Like, and I think more people just, I hate to get on my soapbox, but I hate when I see men say, but women don't even watch it. Yo, like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that simple.
It pisses me, dude. That shit pisses me off to no end. I'm like, first of all, how many women you actually ask if they watch it? Like,
right.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, come on. Like, it's such
imagine you on a date. You ask her out of nowhere. Hey, look, I know we no, but do you watch women's basketball?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
all right. I wanna get out of here with this. I just thought of this game off the top of my head, and we're gonna see how it goes. I don't know how it's gonna work, but it's called Your Life is on the Line.
Oh God.
And I'm going to give scenarios, and you have to pick an active player that you would choose. Basically to save your life.
Okay.
All right. I think we'll do 5, and that'll be it. Shout out to 5.
Cool.
Contact dunk right now to save your life. Lito, I'm starting with you.
Contact dunk. I'm gonna go with Zion.
Okay. Mark?
Ooh, this is tough because like contact dunk, I want to don't hate me for not going Zion. I think I'm going Jalen Green. Jalen Green, like maybe I'm a little bit overly pilled because I watched a ton of Rockets film yesterday, but like Jalen is just like, he's such a nasty dunker.
Okay.
One of my faves to watch right now. Yeah, I'll go Jalen Green.
That's a good answer, actually.
I am picking John Morant.
Okay. Oh, that's probably.
I didn't even think. Oh my God.
Exactly. Same. Like, oh well.
But here's the problem. I've seen Ja almost complete the craziest dunks while also almost injuring himself for the rest of the season, and my anxiety levels would be like having like a 4-leg parlay, like this almost here. Like my anxiety levels would be through the roof because Ja tries the craziest dunks that nobody else in the league should try. They're almost complete. So it's kind of a gamble to me. But if I had to pick, it'd probably be him. All right, boom. Let's see. 3-point shot off the dribble for your life. Mark.
Oh, I have to go first, man. For my life, 3-point shot off the dribble. Oh man, see the hardest part is like there's. I mean, it's Steph. I'll go Steph. I'm going Steph.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my life, so I'm going Steph. Like there's no other answer for me, at least.
I'm picking KD.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, KD. I'm gonna take the guy that's down to 7 feet. I live with the result. Damn it, I live with it. Let's see. I'm going to say, damn. Let's say a post hook for your life.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
This is current players, you said?
Current players. Post hook for your life. Wherever you want on the court.
Post hook for my life.
All right. I got an answer.
All right.
Yeah.
Mark?
Okay, I got a couple names I'm gonna go with. I'm trying to parse it down. So I have a short list right now in my head. It will be out of this group. So it's Brooke Lopez, Nikola Jokic, DeAndre Ayton, and JV would be my short list.
Okay.
And I think, I mean, I'd have to go Jokic because Jokic just like, I mean, he just doesn't miss. But Brooke is close, man. Like people forget Brooke Lopez with the Nets, especially after the Pierce and KG trade. Like, oh my God,
I still get mad at how.
I mean, after Pierce and KG were gone, like Brooke was insane in the post, man. Like, and they still turn him loose sometimes. And like,
I'm so upset at how they use him. Like, I swear.
It works, but it's like, yeah. I mean, it was wild because yesterday they played Detroit, and Detroit switches everything. So it's like, okay, cool. We're just gonna throw it to Brooke in the block all the time. We finished with 24 and 9 yesterday. Like, cool. It's nice that you can do that.
It's very nice you can do that. Lito.
I got 2 answers. I'm gonna give you
you have one life.
What about the duality of all right?
Okay.
All right. So look, you know what? I'm going against the grain here. I'm going Asia Wilson.
Ooh, I kind of like that, low key.
I like that.
I'm going Asia Wilson.
Okay. All right. I'm going Joel Embiid. That's gonna be my pick. Post fade. Post turnaround fade for your life.
Ooh.
Oh, I got it.
I'll start it up. Jason Tatum is mine.
All right.
See, I know that he doesn't have the highest. I'll go Paul George just because I mean, dude, did y'all watch the game yesterday?
Yeah. Man. And
first of all,
needed
that game was a slog, but then the last 2 minutes were awesome. And PG, I mean, that I don't think Eric Gordon could have played better defense. What he did to Paul, and like that shot was just nutty. So yeah, I'm gonna go Paul George.
It's crazy how disrespected Paul George's game is.
Yeah,
like people still don't respect his game. But okay, I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna be a homer, man. I'm going mid post BI.
I ain't mad at that.
Choice.
I'm not mad at that. All right, and we'll end it here. Mid-range jumper against drop coverage for your life.
That's shit. I don't want to go first on this one. Let me marinate.
Okay. I'll go.
Oh, okay. I know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going KD.
Okay. I want to be a homer and pick CJ McCollum, but it's not even a homer because he's one of the best mid-range jump like shooters in basketball. Like, yeah, literally. But I'm gonna go with Devin Booker.
I'm going with Chris Paul. I think it's crazy.
Oh, damn,
dude, it's so tough. Just because like he's like, I swear to God, like every time I think Chris Paul is like done, he just has a game where like, I mean, that's how it felt watching. What was it, Game 7 last year when it just felt like he hit. It didn't matter what the defense did. Chris Paul was going to hit a shot. Like I'll never forget. Like it was kind of heartbreaking because like I mean, I try my best to like not get overly like I'm definitely like rooted in teams for sure.
Yeah.
But like I always try and be like a bystander, like an observer, and just like trying to appreciate the game. But like I wanted the Pels to win that first round series. And like watching that game close, and it's like they just tried every lineup possible, everything. Like they tried trapping. They had JV and drop it first. Nope. They had JV trying to play close to the level. Nope. They had Larry out there switching. Nope. It's just like, it was CP and DeAndre just shot like 75, 80% on like 6 to 18 feet. It was insane. Like that was one of the craziest shooting performances I've ever seen inside the arc.
The only thing I took from that, not the only thing, but one of the things I think, you know, if you're the Pelicans, you hang your hat on is like Chris Paul had to go into God mode and not miss a shot in like the last game to beat you. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. Chris is still Chris. That's for sure.
Yeah, Chris Paul is probably the fucking answer. I don't know why I didn't see. That's why these questions, like, you know, are great. Because if you had to, you know, it wouldn't be like no one would give you. Well, I don't think someone would say, all right, you know, for your life, you know, you get a day to think about it. Or maybe they would, but it would be more fun if someone was all right, you have to decide in like 5 minutes. And I would not have picked Chris Paul, but I think he's probably the answer. And I should know this better than anyone, but that's a really good pick. But yo, Mark, this was fun. At some point again, before the season is over, we'll have you on, man. This was dope. I appreciate you and Lito. Tell everybody where they can find you at, what you got coming up next. Give us the name of the podcast that you that's out. And yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, I appreciate you guys having me on. This was really fun. You can find me on Twitter at MG_Schindler. That's where I'm most active and where I'll have all my stuff posted. The pod is called They've Got Now. Just kind of like a riff on, like, I feel like it's always like, you know, they've got next, or like talking about like the future. And I'm like, no, man, like the game's really good right now. So let's talk about it. Obviously going to highlight the future and stuff too. But like, you know, I think that's part of the next step is like being like, hey, like, look at the shit that's going on now, not just what's coming up. So follow that. I'll have the first episode drop in the next week. And as far as actual writing stuff, TBD, man. I just wrote stuff today that I didn't expect to. I'm sure I'll have like multiple things this week. So
sounds good, man. Well, Lito.
Man, I'm on Twitter, and I guess until Elon does something wild, you can find me LITO_THE I'm probably gonna be podding about the Pels Lakers game tomorrow at some point. I mean, I'm generally watching basketball 24/7, not like Mark, but I definitely wish I could. And if anybody's watching this and they need me to write about basketball, holla at me. I'm good, or music. I'm here
at a high level. All right, guys. Well, definitely appreciate it. Until next time, you in space. Now you out.